Yo, 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 what's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm SMS, and this is the daily stream. It's 2 for 2. It took us all fucking week to do it, but we got 2 streams out and on time and around the right times. I think this morning was a little bit later, but hey, man, it works out. We make it happen. But anyway, this is the daily stream presented by SMS Live. So let's get into it. I'm SMS, bringing the latest in crypto and Web3 every day on the daily stream. I break down crypto news, Web3 culture, mindset, key updates, and basically anything going on the timeline. Mostly, focusing on Solana and Bitcoin. Not gonna lie. But every now and then we talk about some other things going on as well. The name of the game is showing up every day, bringing the vibes and value along the way. No bullshit. Just keeping it real, keeping it straight up, and giving you something that you can actually, take home with you, something of value, as well as the vibes. But the quote of the day, you guys know I like to start these off with the quote of the day, just kind of get your mindset thinking the same way. Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe you're just being sensitive. That's a tough pill to swallow for some people. There's a lot harder circumstances for things going on, and people just kind of they want it to be easy. They want it to be, I don't know, just think about it. Think about if you could do it a little bit harder. If you could, sometimes the challenge isn't the work. Maybe it's just the way you respond to it. But I don't know. I don't know. Something I was just thinking about, and I heard it, and I was like, yeah, that is the case sometimes. So toughen up, lock it in, and move forward. But I am a master chef, Marinade Finance, content marketing lead with DD Gaming Labs. And I mentioned earlier that we are looking for interns and people that are looking for content creation jobs or opportunities. There is some stuff going on with that. And I'm also with the Zeus working group. And today we are joined with a guest from ZWG as well. We're going to talk with the team lead over there. But real quick, just a quick reminder, the Discord is open up with DD Gaming Labs. What's it called? Marinade recipes. They're coming pretty soon. They're not out yet. You can get on the wait list for that, but the instant unstaking is every single day. But again, with Zeus, what's it called? With Zeus Network, they released BTC Soul, and I want to talk a little bit about that when we get Jules up here. But as far as the spaces and shows this week, we kind of executed everything pretty seamlessly, but we have a little change of things. Solana Chillin's going to be Sunday and Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday is just my show, no other host, nobody at least set right now. Tuesday, going to be rocking out with Marky, and then on Thursdays, that's going to be Solana Building. We're just going to be talking a little bit about the building side of things as well as anything Solana related, but that's going to be with Dean, Solana Dean. He's the founder and the head at DD Gaming, and Tack as well. Tack was busy this week, but it gave an opportunity for Solana Dean to come up, and he said he'd be free that time frame. So I think we kind of are shifting a little bit in that direction. But as far as content, I post on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and X every single day. Keep the community tapped in. So if you guys aren't following, it's on my link tree. It's on my bio. You can click that and find the links to everything. So with that being said, guys, let's grab Jules from the back here and bring him up. And we'll start, diving into this, talking a little bit about what's going on. And should be right here. Yo, what's going on, brother?
How's it going, man?
Not too bad. How's the sound with the music? Is it too loud, or is it just my headphones?
Sounds perfect to me.
Okay, cool. It probably is just my headphones because I adjusted it before you came up here, and I was like, man, is it concert going on here? But nah, man, happy to have you here. This is the first time I've had Jules on the show, guys, and we're going to be working on something behind the scenes as far as like our own space or stream, I guess, coming up. But if you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your involvement with the Zeus working group as far as team lead, be curious to kind of hear about your take on that a little bit.
Yeah, so as far as Zeus working group goes, I'd have to do the math, I guess, how long I've been with them now. It's definitely over a year. Let me think here. When Zeus, it's probably been, I think it'd be here in December. It'd be closer to 2 years since I kind of found them and got started working with them pretty early. So it's probably been closer to a year and a half that I've been with the Zeus working group.
Okay. Was that when they were kind of coming out with what's it called, Apollo?
Yeah, it'd been way before that. So if you go back to would it be December 2023, the Zeus token itself hadn't even launched yet. Apollo would be the first DApp, obviously, in the network. That would have came way later on. So yeah, it's been like I said, 2 years at the end of the year that I kind of found them right at the beginning stages where they were kind of building community before the Zeus token, obviously before the first DApp. And obviously now we also are into our next app in the system as well. So, but anyway, yeah, a little bit. We've worked on some different things. Obviously, I've helped lead some teams at Zeus Working Group. A little bit moving kind of a little bit away from that in a more of a, I would say, doing some extra things in the background, I would say, with them and things like that, instead of
Okay.
just leading teams and building out content.
Nice. Well, I was curious about that. Was Zeus it was always a focus point for them to get involved with Bitcoin on Solana, or was the Zeus token just the initial phase of putting something together? Kind of, what's the story behind all that?
Yeah, so one could, I don't want to speak for Justin completely, but one could call the Zeus token sort of a governance token, at this stage. I
Mhm.
do know that he's working towards other use cases for that. But yeah, the initial, or the idea was always, bringing Bitcoin actually on Solana, not bridging it, not making an L2, not, doing any of the things that people had already done.
Okay.
It's kind of also something I would say behind the scenes that I know at a higher level, like, people like Solana Foundation. You've even seen it on Sui now. Like, I mean, this has been kind of in the works for a couple of years. The
Right.
narrative of doing more with Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Instead of it just leaving it, on its own chain and, being slow and doing, all the things that we know are obvious. So
Hmm.
it's definitely been in the works for a long time. And, that was always I would say, the goal for the Zeus team was to create, as you may hear now, kind of a Bitcoin economy on Solana.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely pretty cool. It got my interest when I started seeing BTC Soul. Then I put the connection to Zeus and everything else. I started seeing the D apps and all of that come out. That quickly I noticed, like, hey, that's the fast track to the end game. Like, you kind of think about crypto, and overall, we all kind of knew that Bitcoin was the end game, but Solana had the consumer, they had the user base, they had the developers, they had, all of those different, those parts. Like, if you were to have a list of what does the chain need, what kind of things would be successful for mass adoption, it's literally, checking off everything on that list, it seems like. But it even answered that, and I've never really considered, previously, like, what does it matter? But it matters a lot, because a lot of the liquidity in crypto is tied up in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And the reason people, from my experience and what I found so far, is a lot of people's reason for holding it is for store of value, not because they don't have anything to do with it. Is, well, it's better for value with where it's at right now. And now that you're seeing so many people use Solana, being able to do all these different things, with the apps, with the speed, with the scalability, with the cost efficiency, that negates a lot of the argument of, well, it's a good store of value. Now you can use it in DeFi. Now you can use it in opportunities to get yield on it. Because if it's already, obviously, you're basically buying gold. You're leveraging your gold now. Your digital gold, and that's something that I thought was really, really interesting. And just to kind of see the speed at which people they're picking up on it, that's impressive. Because I mean, it's not like it wasn't being talked about, but this last week and a half, it's seriously ramped up. And I know it's because of my algorithm and where I'm at, but I'm seeing other people in the space. I'm seeing other, creators and investors that like talking about it. People that typically don't ask me questions about some of the stuff I post. They're curious about this. They're like, how do I get involved? Like, that seems really, like, one guy, it was first thing in the morning. It was going to work, and he was like, yeah, I typically don't like ask anybody this. He was like, but I want to get involved with that. That seems awesome. I can stake my Solana for Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the key. Like, if you can think of that, I don't know. That's what really got me kind of enthralled by it.
Well, and I would take it a step further and say that, especially with this cycle having been different than previous. So if we
Yeah.
backtrack a little bit, previous cycles, what you want to do, and not saying this goes away, but there's been less of it this cycle. What you wanted to do before, you wanted to be early, you wanted to find, you know, various projects that would have not really been known outside of CT, things like that. And you're
Mhm.
trying to get, exponential return and things like that. Now, this cycle, we've seen already that the maturity of each cycle
Yeah.
It's changing, and I don't mean from a meme coin, the casino is always going to be there, that sort of thing, but the maturity of the cycle as far as the risk reward has changed exponentially, as far as the downswings and upswings of Bitcoin itself have changed. So in turn, this has also provided, for whatever reason, we've also had less liquidity, obviously for global economic reasons, but like basically there's less money going into, like, I remember previous cycles where like everything just goes on when it's alt cycle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everything went. So now this cycle, there's a lot more focus. I think over time, it's really become it from a CT standpoint where people are focusing on DeFi and people are focusing on realizing having to do something with some of the majors, especially Bitcoin, and now we're obviously seeing a little bit more now on ETH in the recent weeks. But yeah, so long story short is, it kind of turns the attention away from the way previous alt cycles would have been. So like, it's almost like having another DeFi summer, if you want to call it that. But
Right.
point being is that people are finding ways to get returns without feeling like they're needing to go out there and find, like back in the day, ICOs, things like that. So we got to have we got to have a part in Bitcoin, and we got to also obviously have that Bitcoin work for us. So in turn,
Well,
that's why we have
part of the thing, I think the maturation process of the cycle, like you're saying, not just degenerates like getting more mature. I'm talking like there's things we can actually use and do. Like I was trying to explain to somebody previously, not just somebody, but in general, I explain Bitcoin, like think of that as your long-term savings, like for retirement, because that's like the appreciation that you want to see, happen with it. Well, now there's a vehicle to use that tool that we haven't had before, to be able to use an asset that you're buying and passively earn some of that to add to that pile. We haven't had those things before. Now people are seeing things that they can really do with their money, where it's like they're not just speculating, like you're saying, on ICOs, on the NFTs. Like there's times for that and places for that to happen, but I'm seeing more than ever is people looking at, like you said, using what is available, using different strategies, actually learning them. Because previously there wasn't that. We didn't really have that many strategies. Some people did. There was like a higher tier, but now we're seeing the average user is getting involved in these different, decentralized finance tools that are available. Lending and borrowing, for one, is one that I never really knew anything about until I got into the crypto world. Like it never dawned on me to think about anything that way. And once I started learning, like, hey, you can leverage your own funds, like, and I started looking into everything from NFTs to like a higher scale, and then started hearing that people were like, how do I borrow against my Bitcoin? Like, how do I, like, where's that? Who's building that kind of stuff? And it's, that didn't work on the Bitcoin scale of things. They're trying to build rails for that to work, but it just didn't seem like it was ever catching on to the likeness of everyday users finding ways to, use the banking strategies. Now, I think Solana offers that, where you become the personal banker, you become the self-custodian, you become the one that's able to do that. And that was just the missing piece. Like, sure, you can get a wallet that can hold your Bitcoin on it, but you still are waiting 10 to 15 minutes for that transaction to be deposited. Now you can, use it at the same exact speed as Solana with, what they've been able to do with Zeus. And that to me is game changing. And I mean, most people know, hey, I can stake my Solana. That's part of what keeps our blockchain secure, is because that's just like an easy go-to. Find a validator, run it, put your Solana in there, you're good to go.
Yeah.
With Marinade Finance, like that makes it even simpler. But to that effect, it's like that passive, like Solana option is there now. Like it's coming. And that to me is like what gets people really incentivized to like want to take part of this, want to invest with their future. And that becomes like the 401k investments, where it's like you start to pick your strategies, you start to learn like, hey, I can invest into this. Plus, like year over year, this is outpacing every market. Plus, now I'm getting 7% on it. You know what I mean? So it's those kind of benefits, or it's not even. You don't have to advertise it. It's just very clear. It's like, this is the play. Like,
yeah, and also, just to clarify, when I say maturation of the cycle, I'm also referring to it maturing to be closer to TradFi than it did in like 2017 during the
Yeah.
ICO boom. I mean, it's changed drastically since then. And that's why I again point out you're going to see, the markets mature more from a charting standpoint, even. So like,
Right.
anyway, it just all kind of goes together. And as you're saying, Bitcoin is, obviously you needed a place where it just was not feasible the way on its own outside of the store of value theory. Obviously there's
Right.
absolutely nothing wrong with that, and nothing wrong with trading it and things like that. But if we're going to get that in the hands of real users, I mean, as we've known from day one, you're going to need speed, you're going to need ease, you're going to need people building actual usable dApps and things like that are easier to use, and not just, okay, us and CT figure it out, but nobody else is going to figure this out.
Well, that's the thing is like, some of us, like, our echo chamber will learn it, and then it's like, does it go anywhere else? Most of the times, no. It stays right here, and that's the thing. It's like mass adoption doesn't happen just because we market it, talk about it, or share videos. It's like, is it realistic? Is it something practical to use? Is it something they're gonna, I relate most things to, if you can play a video game and use email, you can probably use a digital wallet. So it's like, it has to be that easy for people to. There was a comment from Steve the Canadian in here. He said, I like how you keep saying store value. Bitcoin is a store value, not a reserve of it. The government's trying to make it a reserve currency is killing it. It has no intrinsic value like gold. And then he said gold's physical value means it can't go to zero. If everyone stopped caring tomorrow, Bitcoin could. And then he says, I blame Saylor for making people think it's a reserve. He's playing with fire, killing his only investment, in his opinion.
Well, I mean, I would argue that the intrinsic value of various things have changed over time anyway. So we can't even look at anything monetary the same as what things used to be. I mean, the dollar used to be backed by gold and things like, and nothing's the same as what it used to be. So obviously that's why institutions get involved now on, new options, especially with our, monetary policies and things like that. Yeah, it's a no-brainer to me, but.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I do think, I don't know. I think this one's almost like splitting hairs. When it comes down to it, I'm like, everybody's going to have an opinion on it, and I don't think it's whatever. Think what you want to. The way I look at Bitcoin, bottom line, it's like, I haven't concerned or cared or put too much effort into it other than knowing it exists and that it is like, the ship that raises all its tides kind of thing. That's just how I've always looked at it. And now we're at a point where it's like, if I go talk to somebody and I say, hey, do you know anything about crypto? Have you, bought anything? Like, they know like Bitcoin, like that's it. Like, and then there might be the Dogecoin because of a little bit of the Elon thing, like that helped that. Some people know Ethereum, and very, very few even know Solana, despite of what the number.
Some people know.
Well, yeah, XRP is another big one too. Actually, that one's huge. Those guys were right; they hit all-time high. Congrats to them.
Yeah, can't argue it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you're crazy until you're not. Now it's like, fuck, who's crazy now? Like, you're looking at these numbers, and I'm like, oh man, this is pretty crazy. I'm gonna pull up Coinbase and take a look at the prices of everything.
Actually, yeah, I haven't even looked at XRP. I remember I haven't traded that in. I couldn't even. I tend to forget what cycle was which, so I can't even remember when that was. It was like $2 or something like that back then.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say. I have no idea what it even is at now. I sometimes see some. Oh, it's apparently I should have held it forever.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what it seems like with a lot of these coins. I mean, you can almost look at everything, but I think the way I've been looking at charts the last couple of days, what I'm seeing is like liquidity is pumping. A lot of things have been lagging. We're starting to see a little bit of an uptick and a pickup on that with like Solana, Ethereum. Even BNB is showing the same kind of signs of it, like catching up on where it was or where it should be in relation to where the market's at. So it's kind of, to me, feels like, as far as like what inning we're in, I think we're, at least fourth or fifth. Like, it just feels that way. Like, we're getting to that point, and, Bitcoin going up to 123K. Like, I don't know. My target, I'm thinking 150, 160 would be like a top. that's just kind of where I think. But now with Clarity, with Genius, with the CBDC bills, with all of these things like pushing the envelope even further. Right now, I'm like, man, nothing is really pulling this back. Like no war, like no issues, no geopolitical problems are stopping Bitcoin from running. It seemed like the alts were lagging, but now it's starting to seem like they're picking up. I mean, even what's it called? Like Ethereum's up to 3,500. We've been seeing that under 3K for forever, and it's like laughing at it. And now we're seeing the movement there. And I mean, I do think that that's closer to being 7,500 to 10K. It just makes sense to me that Ethereum gets to that point. I mean, especially with you look at the ratio of numbers, but I guess that it comes with liquidity pouring back in. But I mean, I don't know.
Two things I'd add to that. One you alluded to, sort of, I would say Bitcoin just continuously goes no matter what geopolitical or whatever news problem comes up. We've gotten some dips, but we don't really. Bitcoin's just kind of went the whole way.
Yeah.
Like a normal chart. So basically, long story short is, we haven't really had anything standing in the way. We have constant, I don't want to call it news. We have constant information of, everybody's getting involved. So, we know that we're going. I would agree, definitely higher than this. I would probably say somewhere between 150 and 200 this cycle.
Yeah.
But to the second point, I have a theory about where we're at exactly right now. I think we might get a touch higher in Bitcoin, maybe. But anyway, long story short is we're going to have what we've had on a lot of this cycle, where we actually get a little bit of an alt run here. Bitcoin kind of chops and ranges, forming its next range here.
Mm-hmm.
This is assuming Bitcoin doesn't start catapulting higher. It doesn't quite look like that on the charts to me, but it also doesn't look like it won't. So long story short is what I think is if Bitcoin settles down here as it is right now, we get a little bit of an alt run. ETH BTC obviously is flying right now. If you look at that chart, this is the first time it has broken out of, just looking at the MAs here quick, like even the 200, like it left that back in July of actually a year ago.
Do you want to share your chart?
Yeah,
if you hit share your screen, it should be at the bottom and I can bring it up for you.
Yeah, let me see which screen I want to make sure it asks which screen I'm sharing. To be honest with you, I don't know which screen is which, so I'm gonna have to guess. It's not that one. Okay, there we go. Let's move this out of the way here. Did it share it?
Yeah, it should come
Okay, so anyway, we're going to try to zoom out a little bit here. This is just a daily chart of ETH BTC. This is what I was referring to here. The last time, we kind of just went downhill the whole way with the 200 and then completely lost that. Obviously right here, retest, boom, catapulted right through it. So
yeah, that's pretty wild.
This is the first time in a while that that's happened. Obviously, there's a look at ETH as well. I'm just going to quickly do this because there's not really any TA to this per se, other than maybe right here. This is the others chart, basically everything excluding the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Obvious breakout again. One could maybe argue a double bottom. I know they don't line up perfectly, but a double bottom does not have to line up perfectly. It's almost like an M or a W shape.
Right.
Get back up into here. But anyway, where I was going with that is that let's just say we keep blowing through these FVGs here. We could get a little mini alt cycles. Well, I shouldn't even say we could get it because we're technically already getting it.
Yeah.
But basically, long story short, if Bitcoin chills out right here, mini alt cycle like we've had, and then I think we come back again to this, and I always get cautious about these type of pumps in July or anything in the summer. So I feel like we go on our next real run in Q4. I don't think this is it. I guess that's where I'm getting at. That's my theory on that, is that I think we just get a little mini alt cycle like we have, and then chill out for a little bit, and then we come back again. And that's when Q4 is almost always liquidity wise your best bet.
Gotcha. Well, that's one thing I've been kind of noticing with when it comes to this chart and specifically Bitcoin, and it's kind of making me think, do we chop like at this point, or like with everything the way it's lining up, government wise and just in bottom line, it just seems like we could just continue like on an upward trend, very, very light chops, but that's where we start seeing the alts like picking up like where they are now. What if those were to chop? Like it's the only reason I think that is because we're hitting like a 2-year uptrend right now, right? Like a bull market, it's been going constantly. Like there's been very, very, very slight deviation on the trend, and it's just every time it's corrected, it just leads me to believe like we got 3 more years or whatever of this, or 2.5 more years of the situation we're in. Could it continue? Maybe, and then maybe we have a serious bear, like a very dark one, but as a response, or maybe we get to that point of just bottom line crypto maturation where it's like, no, we're up now. Like this is where we're at. Like before I was thinking if we go to 160, 180 or something like that, we come back and we revisit 70K for low or something like that. Around that seems like it was playing out. Now I'm curious, do we even come back down that low? It doesn't, like, you can't look at previous models now and look at the chart now and make any kind of reference to it, unless you'd have to wait months and months and months for it to really, really calm down to see it play out. But it's hard to dictate that off of previous because we haven't had these highs. We don't have any kind of historical data on where this stuff is leading to, and that's just, to me, like, it's a good place to be, that's for damn sure. But at the same time, you can look straight across. You have the double top damn near, and then it breaks out, and then we're just staircasing up. So I don't know.
I just pulled up the weekly chart since you were kind of talking about the big picture there. That pretty much says it all right there. Like, in a massive uptrend, but the thing I was actually, obviously, me, I get into a little bit of more research kind of things as far as the higher level thoughts on the market and things like that. And again, this goes with the maturation of things. Like now Bitcoin is more tied to credit spreads and yield spreads, and high yield credit spreads, basically the HYOAS. And then obviously everybody knows in crypto that it's tied to the global liquidity index. So yeah, like we're no longer, this is not like cycles of the past, obviously. And this is why I say it's becoming closer to like TradFi.
Yeah.
So either way, we're going to, at this rate, I know everyone thinks this, so I always get cautious when everybody thinks something, but if we're tied to the global liquidity, then we should be, again, Q4 I don't know anybody that would argue Q4 is going to be big, and then maybe partially into 2026. I would get a little bit nervous about that, just because
that's a long uptrend.
It is. And then I would also argue that, so I'm going to call this, this is just from a charting standpoint, so it doesn't mean anything if we are tied to global reasons to go on an uptrend. Right. But here's our first real drive. Like, I consider this up to here our first drive. Here's our second drive. So we're working on our third. And generally speaking, that's it. That's all you're going to get. You know what I mean? But I suppose if I brought up SPX, I don't know.
Well, that's kind of where I was looking at it. If you start looking at index funds and you look at traditional finance, like if you zoom all the way out for the last 20, 30 years, like the trend is starting to look very similar to the way that Bitcoin's playing out. And that's why I lean to tell people, look at this as your own investment, like strategist or whatever now, like your own investment vehicle. You can invest into Bitcoin and these other, coins if you'd like to, but bottom line, if you were just a dollar cost average into Bitcoin over time, you're going to outperform any 401k that you think of. Like, it's just the way the numbers have been showing. And now we're at a point where even if we do have these dips, it's very, very similar to looking at an index fund over the last 20, 30 years in the way that the charts perform.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even use last cycle as an example. I mean, obviously the dips will get less in a mature market, but I
Well, I
mean,
mean, you're losing more and more like reasons for it to crash. Like once these things are more regulated with these acts that just passed, like there's more answers to what happens, what can you do, what can't you do, what is the repercussions, people believing, willing to put money into it, like that changes the ball game drastically because you haven't had those dynamics previously. And that's where I see that, like this is significant enough to pay more attention to, and like maybe let off the gas when it comes to some other things, because speculation is going to die and it's going to be what's really like going to work in a capitalist situation.
and of course, you still either way, regardless. Well, unless this is uncharted territory globally, economically. That's not really a word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we make our own
Unless
words.
we're in uncharted territory on, you know, the USD, which I mean, we're kind of getting there, but like, you know what I'm saying? Unless we're in uncharted territory like that, I mean, you still have liquidity cycles. So like, we still have to hit, you know, some bear market, obviously.
Mhm.
But yet, again, more mature bear market, more mature, you know, bull market. They're not, you're long past the day of, you know, pre 2017, especially back when, you know, you buy something for 100x on Bitcoin is not going to happen. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at those little downtrends right there. Like that's what people are calling the bear markets. Like they're not like we've had that slow gap. I mean that's a lot of fallout due to FTX, but that's what
that
is
was here, yeah.
yeah, like that's the bear market that I walked into basically, you know, coming into crypto. And I was like, Jesus Christ, if you can make it through this, you can, you know, make it through a lot of things. But I mean, that's what I'm looking at right there, that down trend right there. Like, what if we were to have this super cycle and then we have this long, long, long bear? But
Or what if we've been in a super cycle?
yeah, well, that's one way to look at it too. All the way back there. I mean, I've heard that argument too.
Yeah.
It's like this has been a bull market since the beginning. I mean, if you look at it, it's higher highs, high all the way through. It's just you have to zoom out. I mean, I've heard
mean,
this
obviously, you could argue this one structurally it sort of
breaks
tapped
down
into the previous highs, but yeah. Otherwise, you get a little tap, and that's about it. And ironically, since you brought it up, here is where I started. Right. Where's it at? Right about here. Talk about buying the top.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's peak interest though. Like that's fast forward, there's peaks right there. That's where I bought it because it was like
I mean, that's how it works. You find out about it, you know, due to peak interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But now we're seeing like those two little steps right there. Like you're seeing people buying in more and more and more, but it's like institutional buying is happening. You're seeing other, you know, the other people like, oh, we're going to load up on alts because they're going to run. And it's like, well, at the same time, people are buying the shit out of USDC and BTC. So I don't know. It's just something that I've noticed. I mean, this like the other part is the, you know, the president situation, them having so much play and putting their hands into it, like making you know, the what's it called, the World Group or whatever, the fund that he has. Yeah, like clearly those are going to be the winners. Like he's putting them in his breadbasket right now. It's the same thing with Kathy Woods when we were watching her pick out her stocks and make ARK investing. Like if you watch the game play out in real time, like you kind of know how to navigate it a little bit, like and where the building's going to be done, where the funds are rolling. And seeing her at Solana Accelerate talking, I was like, this is the biggest indicator. Like this is the same indicator I saw back when AMC and GME started their thing and like pushed this whole retail stock revolution, you know? And it's like you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see everything pick up. You're seeing the bigger players get their positioning, and like, you know, 10% of Circle IPO went straight to BlackRock, right? So it's what do you think that, like, there's the argument. So what do you think about this? Like I see people throwing this idea out there that the institutional buying is destroying the decentralization of crypto. Like do buy into that, or do you think it's just
Well,
fear?
I mean, that's where it gets funny. So, what they really mean, because this is going to be a few part answer, because what they really mean, in my opinion, is they want the casino going.
Yeah.
They don't like a maturing market. So,
Mhm.
because decentralization, like technically speaking, everything is centralized in some fashion outside of you literally buying Bitcoin on the network and storing it in your wallet. Anything else you do is at least somewhat more centralized. Now that's the variance of what you call central. Like obviously, Coinbase would be something you would call highly centralized. You don't own any of it. They're, you
Mhm.
know, they have that there. Because one could argue, and I'm not trying to put down any of the rest of the market here, but like one would argue that even DeFi protocols and things like that are at least somewhat centralized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like so it depends on what they mean by that, but like institutions aren't necessarily, are they using more centralized options? Yes, obviously they're buying more off chain than they're buying on chain, but they're not centralizing it as much. I mean, they are in like as far as an ETF goes and things like that, but that's not really retail's concern anyway.
Right.
Um, they're not centralizing the actual networks. Like those will always be decentralized.
That's where
Um,
I look at it. It's like the network, nothing changed. It's just who owns it, and I think that that's what they are kind of pushing is, well, if they own everything, they control everything again. Like we lose control.
okay. Yeah, I suppose one could argue, does it become more centralized when there's less available and, you know, 30% of it's owned by centralized or institutions? Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's the biggest gripe that people are having. And it's like, well, I mean, you've been here since day one, for the people that are arguing it. It's like,
yeah,
what do you think? They weren't going to, play ball? Like part of the reason people want decentralized finance is because they want to elude, taxes for the most part. They want to elude the traditional finance system and the framework that it has set up. And they say, the speed, the scalability, the cost efficiency, that's all great and all of that kind of stuff. But the real reason is like, they want everybody else's hands out of it so they don't have to be playing the same ball game with the dollar and the taxes and all of that. Like that's to me, it's the overall sentiment is under that impression. Like as we stay decentralized, they can't control our money, they can't control us, yada yada yada. But it's like, well, at some level, you're gonna hit a stop where it's like we're gonna ban it or we're gonna get our piece of the pie, right? Like that's just to me, it seems pretty obvious, especially since you want to use it as currency because historically anytime you start messing with currency, you start seeing wars and stuff break out because of that's essentially what happened with America. We want to get away from Britain with all of the the taxation and the control out there. We went over here, colonized, whatever. That story is a wash too. But we get here and it was like the printing press trying to print paperwork and the payment that they would accept as currency came down to that. That's where a lot of the war came from, the control of the guns. It was all due to creating your own currencies. Now that we're trying to create that and not let them play ball, it's like you're creating that same economic problem that you had before. Like that's where things
I
come.
would say though that's not totally like I understand that people are like, this was meant to be like the people's currency type of
Right. And that's the
yeah,
argument that I hear a lot. And it's like,
yeah.
relax.
Yeah, because I would argue, well, I get it, but at the same token, like to get adopted and fully used, you need more than just that. Like outside of like, okay, this is Armageddon. Our
Yeah,
currencies are
exactly.
gone. They're,
Well,
that
I
then it
mean,
would be different. You
that's
know,
part of the argument that they have. It's like, well, what happens, motherfucker? Like, that's the last thing people are concerned
yeah,
about, bro. Like, get
yeah.
out
You
of
don't
here.
need to worry about that at this stage. Like,
You need
unless
a
you're
generator
a
to start your
president.
wallet up to send it. That's not happening. Like, it's not going down that
But
way.
but otherwise, as far as like the amount that gets like what is there to be distributed, there's still like a hefty like unless you start seeing governments like fighting over supply.
Mhm.
Um, and again, I think that would raise some concern. But otherwise, I mean, we're not. governments are getting involved, but I wouldn't say governments are generally speaking, they're going to be the last people to get involved because they have so much more red tape. They also don't necessarily want to kill off their own currencies.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say it's
you
not
know,
a doing them any service by like
no,
destroying their own currency. Like that
yeah,
makes
I
no
mean, so
sense.
they're going to be the last to really heavily get involved.
Right.
Mostly it's institution and ETFs the biggest thing right now. Okay,
Mhm.
ETFs, yes, currently it seems like they just keep, inflows, but that's obviously in an uptrending market. They still have, and we still see the outflows are actually quite large in certain spots, and so I mean, it's not like they just buy and hold.
Right.
So I don't think it's any concern. I think it's actually, I personally kind of argued that while I'm sure some do think that this meant to be about the people, the people's money, if we want to call it that, whatever, people's currency.
Right.
I
Right.
think most people in CT or most people in crypto realistically really are more like, I wish the market didn't mature too much. Like they basically are saying, I wish it was 2017. Like,
Yeah, they want more
or-
volatility. They want
yeah,
more.
they want like pump all my bags.
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean,
personally
that
think
was
they're saying one thing, but they really mean another.
when I got into this. I mean, there was a belief, and it was pretty strongly, heavily kind of like shared is this the transfer of wealth, the chance for the small guy to get an upper hand. And, those chances are going to be going away more and more and more as, like you said, this market continues to push forward. It's like you're not going to have those run ups. Like you had that kind of each year or each cycle you have a casino, so to speak, or each pump you have a cycle that takes precedent. You have the ICO, you have the NFTs, you had meme coins. Like it's always something that's going to take that route because it's the quickest way for people to throw a couple dollars in and run up, and people are finding ways to extract the entire time through. And it's like it's not a shock to me, but once you run out of that, like you start to get creative and you start to find new ways to recycle things that have worked before. And I think that that's partially where we're at, and people want a legitimate way for that to work with crypto. And I don't think that that's the case at all. I don't think that you have both of those situations. Like you have to play the game the right way, but it's still like it still outpaces traditional finance, which at the same time it's like what's wrong with that, dude? Like for you to get a 30 to 40% gain in regular stocks is highly unlikely, and it's every other week. You could probably find one if you're doing your work, or if you wait long enough you're going to get those pumps throughout your main holds anyway. And it's like I don't know.
I'd also argue that everybody has the option to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So like, for example, if you want to be in the trenches and if you get in the trenches and bust your ass for 70 hours a week, I mean, work at it and you can do something. So it's and just like, okay, trading Bitcoin, for example, or whatever majors you want. I mean, if you want to do it, go do it. Don't just like wait for like everybody just wants like alt season where like, okay, thank God everything pumped, so now I have some money. Like if you're that worried about it, go figure out a new plan.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's nothing, and there's different parts of me. Like, I don't mind that, I guess, lifestyle or that trading style. It's like I was there, I did that for a while. It wasn't my favorite because there's other things I'd like to do, but it's the same as if you were, a high frequency trader in regular finance. I mean, they spend all of their time in front of the charts. They spend all of their time in their calls and their discords, their telegrams, their whatever's
Creating a system. And then
yeah, exactly. And it's like they spend their like a lot of their time doing it and they make a shit ton of money, but like they also lose money too. Like there's losses that go into that, but the overall, like they're finding ways that work for them, and that's what they choose to do. And there's people that they have more capital to work with, so they leave that and they go to bigger plays where they're just eating off of the returns, whether it's 8, 10, whatever percent. But you're always going to have that sector of people. And I mean, I like it because I know if I take $1,000, there's a good chance I can go play in the stock market to play options, whether I'm short and long in positions or whatever the case is. But like call options, like that. If that wasn't there, like you'd lose a huge part of liquidity that's going to be into the markets. You're going to lose a huge part of just bottom line, like people. And so I think that there's there's always going to be an avenue for that. And we found that with Pump Fun and the meme coins. Like that's 100% where they like to be. Like as much as people bitch about it, there's still people going there buying coins. So it's
Yeah.
what are you going to do? And like you don't have to pay attention. You don't have to play that game. Like you can just buy into bonk. And I mean, look at what happened to that. If you just dollar cost averaged over the last 6 months, you're in beautiful shape. And it's not the end. I think it's very, very early on the pumps and everything you're seeing now. Like, I was looking through it the last couple of days doing charting, seeing Bitcoin. It's just, it's bullish. It's dictating everything right now. It's sending everything up because it's hitting new highs that it's never been at before. So then you're seeing the follow through with Ethereum, Solana, everything hitting, Solana gets to 180, 200 next, 220, and then it's off to the races for that. And all of these are
we'll find out very shortly on if this is a mini alt cycle or more, because we should just kind of go down the line here. We had ETH pump. We should have the next follow through on a little more on the majors, and then it should run downhill from there. Not that nothing's already pumped, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this could be a huge weekend for crypto just because the crypto week. Yeah, that's another thing I think that people weren't paying attention to is like, this is all calculated. Like everybody was aiming for crypto week, for legislation, for things to happen, for announcements to be made, for conversations to be had. And here we are. Like look at where the market went on Thursday of crypto week, all-time highs for things, first time evers for things. Like it's setting a precedent. And I mean, I think the way to play this next year is whoever has an airdrop around crypto week wins.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, we had the Bitcoin airdrop, so there's that.
Yeah.
But playing the markets like with historical events like this, and them setting that June 5th, 14th or 15th or whatever it was. I guess that's the third week in June that they're going to be using. I'm just going to keep my eyes on the market and just kind of remember, like mental note. But like you said, it's going down the line. These are all picking up steam. I mean, I'm seeing it carry over from all the way to the top down to the meme coins, and everything's coiled up. Everything like there was one Rizzo. I said something about it yesterday. That's up 150%. There's another one. I forget off the top of my head, but there was a few of them that ran up, 20 to 30% on just meme coins. And I'm like, if this is what I think it is, it's spray and pray. And I think if there's shit at the wall, it's going to stick situation.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it's been weeks of here's Bonk, for example.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much straight up. So right there,
go to the beginning of this.
Definitely memes. If Bonk is running, that means memes are running.
Go to 2023 on this chart and look at the bottom.
Oh, that one doesn't go out. That's Binance.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if Bybit,
so basically, if you go to, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull it up, but if you can pull up Bonk's, yeah, not in Trading View, but if you're able to pull up Bonk's chart on like Bird Eye or something like that,
I'm sure I'm gonna
like I was paying attention to this
here, but let me see.
Should be the Meteor one at the top. Or yeah,
2.5 billion. That's got to be it.
So go back to the beginning of this one when they did their airdrop and like that long low point. All right, you see where it broke out right there?
Mm-hmm.
And no, go back up to the breakout, like the first one right there. You see where that first bottom is, and then it was kind of just chopping sideways, and it kept bouncing right there. And then it came back recently to that low again. I was like, oh shit! Like it's almost the same kind of choppiness from that first breakout to that 50% down trend.
That's actually,
yeah.
We've had looked at this chart before now.
Like when I saw that.
Like that when everything sold off to that point, obvious bottom here twice.
Exactly. And like once I saw that, I said, oh shit, I'm going heavy into this one right now. I'm putting as much as I can afford to, because I saw like that movement. I was like, that's a good sign. Like that huge sell-off, huge reversal that dictates most of Solana and their meme coins, and like the movement as far as like where the liquidity goes. You're gonna see some crazy shit happen, and it almost did it twice right there. But you got the W, you got the higher lows, and it's sent.
I really wish I'd have saw this like with this.
Well, I was streaming. If you're pulling up the streams, I was talking about it because, like, if you go to this one, there's a few coins that are like Jupiter. You go to Jupiter, JUP.
Yeah.
That's another one where they did the airdrop and it went lower than it did the initial time before it pumped. And I started seeing the same thing across the board when it came to Solana coins. Not that Jupe. I mean, it sold off, but not that bad.
Been around longer than that too. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
why did it do that? See if this. There we go. Okay.
You see that sell off right there, like, or when it had the airdrop and then it broke out, how low it
I'm
went.
trying to remember how long ago the airdrop was.
Yeah,
Isn't it back here?
like 3. Yeah, well, no, the initial one, or all the way down where that red candle is.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's the airdrop, and then people sold off that position close to, like, I don't know, 40 some cents or some shit like that, maybe 50 cents. And then it ran up, and then there was the same thing like with Bonk. You see where it kept bouncing across the middle right there. And once it finally sold off, I looked back, I said, yo, this is lower than it's ever been historically. Like, you have not had these lows. It's showing you the bottom right here. Like, it's lower than that original time before it broke out. This is the time to load up on a play like this.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
not
gave
bad
you
because of the potential W and double bottom. I still
exactly.
think the Bonk one is better because that had like it literally stopped at like a previous low from like a couple of years ago.
Right.
That's really solid.
Well, that's the kind of like the same. I mean, this one isn't as old of the airdrop. This is Jupiary. I think it's 2 years ago that this one came out, but it's showing you the same thing where it's lower than the original bottom where that breakout was. And when I started seeing that across the board with like the, Bonk is a meme coin, but it's kind of like an infrastructure play on Solana as well because of its significance to the blockchain. But those are both plays where it's like I started seeing that, and then I started looking at, pay attention to the DeFi platforms and the meme coins that are offered through them. For instance, Marinade, Flog is one of them. That's a pretty obvious one. If you go look at Flog's chart, they're a huge eco. They're a huge,
I'm kind of curious.
Community. What's that?
I'm kind of curious on Marinade.
MNDE.
That's what I thought.
Well, they're at a point right now.
I typed it wrong. That's why.
Yeah. I was just looking at this chart and it looks pretty bullish where it's at right now because it's bouncing along across previous tops.
See, these are the charts, so I could pull up a million of these. What I like, because these are really easy in the how would I describe this? So you're not going to get like a bonk pump on most charts like this always.
Right.
You might. It just depends on the FA on it. But anyway, long story short is these what I call a long tail chop, or it almost looks like it's dead. This isn't the best example because there's a bunch of charts that are basically like way up and then they just kind of look like they're dead. They almost always get revived to some degree. You literally just buy and then set yourself for whatever you think. Let's say it's like 3x or something like that. They're super easy buys. Assuming it's not like an actual dead coin, but I mean a team that's actually working.
Well, something like this one with Marinade, if you go look where the level is right now, it's bouncing on those previous highs. And what I say to people when you see that, like, that's where your core community, these are the people that have been accumulating all the way through this time, like where they're buying a little bit here, buying a little bit there, buying a little bit here, buying a little bit there. And it's continuously bouncing on like the highs that were previously there before that run up. And when you start to see those kind of things, it's like, their team's been there, that they're reputable, they're active, all of that, like that's pretty easy to see. The significant part is like where they're bouncing at on those price points, because it kind of shows you like who believed early and who, jumped in along the way and believed and continue like averaging in because of it being Marinade, because of it being a prominent figure and like a household name, like, oh, Marinade, yeah, I know them. Like, you don't have to vet them. You don't have to question like how long of a project, how long they, what are they doing? You know exactly who it is. So it's just, I called that literally earlier today in the GM chat stream. I was like, this is your accumulation phase, because somebody did ask about that coin specifically.
I just brought up one example while I was talking about what I call like a long tail range after, a bull phase, we'll call it. This is when AI was hot. This is Griffin.
I was looking at this yesterday too. because of it. It's
Yeah,
still
oh, yeah,
alive.
I own a good amount.
I honestly considered buying it because it's the only one that hasn't moved. Like, and if you look at Troll, you look at all the other ones like Tickcoin, like that AI phase of like that really generic looking kind of coin. Like this was one that stuck out to me. I swear to God, if you look at this, I was like, damn, Griffin, this one hasn't even moved
Funny
yet.
thing is, I called this thing right about here, and then I sold it like right about there. I think Yeah.
Shit.
it was probably my biggest failure, if you want to call it that, of this cycle. Was and I didn't
So I
even
called
look for a
Fog
while.
at-
I was just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. It was like 1 or 2 million when I called it basically, and I was like, oh fuck, it's like up to this. I'm selling, and then I was like, look back again, I'm like, it's 500 million. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I haven't had any of them, but I caught Fog under a penny. I sold it at like 30 cents, something like that. That was like one of my better plays, but that was like a lot of the plays I got into are like this kind of setup where it's like I know that they're not dead. I know that there's something going
That's
on.
my point. If
with
you
these
can
coins,
find
like,
a team that for real, like, and a lot of teams say it, but if you know they've been plugging away on their products and things like that, and this is what the chart looks
Yep.
like. This is a weekly, so it looks less so, but the daily, you want this
Yeah.
this long.
That's
They
accumulation.
end up breaking out. They always do. I would say in
Yeah.
Q4 this breaks out. My target will probably be. This is where your first take profit would be, is somewhere right in the 190, maybe 200,
Yep.
and then you can probably
That's a
get
good call.
into here again. I'm 100% like this is. It's kind of an area that this is more my area of things that I like, is the AI sector. But yeah,
Yeah, I've been looking at them more because I know that so much liquidity goes right to them just because of the times that we're in.
well,
bottom
and it's
line.
not a huge
that's what-
narrative. The good. So you also have when we do hit these alt cycles, whether or not this one is a mini one or not, but let's just say Q4 for sure is. When you hit them, you just bounce around. You only have a short time in certain narratives. 1 month, 2 months, whatever.
Yeah.
So like AI's a smaller. It's not small, but it's a smaller one. And on top of that, you could break that down further and say, okay, there's a variety of different chains that are, obviously more popular than others on that. Sol is a little underdone on the AI side of things, so there's really not as many plays that are worth it. So that's where I park my buys in Griffane, Grift, which is Orbit. Just for a buzz. I have a bunch, yeah.
Yeah, I like that play. It's funny you brought that one up because I was looking at it yesterday. I was like, damn, this one might be a good one to get into.
Yeah.
But another one I was pulled up yesterday when I was looking at is this one called Rizzo. That one's up still 228%. That's what's Elon's, what's it called? The name of the mascot for SpaceX or whatever. It's the hedgehog, or no, Tesla. And it's named Rizzo. And I saw it just sitting there like really low.
These are all tiny.
It's haha yes. Look up haha
okay.
yes.
Probably 15.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
there we go. 15 mil. But still can't.
Yeah.
Oh,
This was like super dead, and I called it out yesterday. I was like, damn, this is wait till this gets news, wait till this gets the right tweet. Like all this takes is that to happen because it's just one of those Elon effects. Yeah, it was literally yesterday,
So
and then it did that. I was like, get the fuck.
looking nothing, and then it always happens this way. You actually find this out of dead meme. I'm assuming you've traded meme coins before. You can actually find dead meme coins that people will just revive like that too.
Yep.
Just wait for them to look like this.
Well, I mean that's what was like the meta. It seems like, I don't know, back in the spring, early summer, it's like people were just looking for old coins. There's one Troll, TROLL. That's one that I like a lot. It's up 11% today. But that's another coin that I liked a lot that looked like it was dead. Well, not dead, but it looks like we were kind of forgetting about, and it keeps hitting that bottom there. It looks pretty bullish, and it's a super recognizable meme. I like it a lot, but that's one that's not as dead. It didn't have that flat long. Go to Neat, NEET. This one just did the same thing, or it was pretty low and nobody's really talking about it.
And
I talked about it
between
yesterday. This thing ran up
between-
like 100%. Yeah. That's,
Yeah, some of these I struggle with because I'm not really
I just happened to come
Right,
across
but-
some of these coins, and it's like, yo, what the hell? Like,
I know.
it makes no sense to me because like there's these other ones where it's like this would make so much sense for it to run, and it's like, nah, that's the opposite. But I don't know. Some of my favorite ones are like Fog, Troll. Like the setups look pretty good. If you look at something like Pengu, that was clearly going to make its move, and I think that one continues just to run over time, like a good investment long term. Ponky, that one's down like 15, 16 cents. I used to dream about getting in there 20, 25, and I think that's giving you a good offering because it's got a huge community. Popcat's another one. Popcat's worth taking a look at just with the chart. It's a pretty popular coin. I mean, it's had some nice movements, but it's down in a nice position where I think it's kind of.
It'd be similar to kind of what I was talking about.
Yes, exactly.
It actually has more of the look of like, let me get to right about there and then probably go back down.
Yeah.
I think.
Test that one again and keep
Yeah.
chopping. But that's one that I'll keep my eyes on. And it's like all of these coins, eventually it's one of those things. If you can spread it out the right way, like I wouldn't go more than 5 or 10 coins, depending on how much money you're working with. But I just feel like you're at that point. If you have time with the money, you can sit on them and like make daily buys, or it's like say, hey, I'm going to put this amount at this point, and if it goes lower, I'll add it again and just wait for that time to happen. But I think you're at that prime position with Bitcoin doing what it's doing, Solana doing what it's doing, and just the interest bottom line in crypto. I think everything's kind of aligning for that to be a pretty prime scenario. But
Yep.
I don't know. That's about all I got today. I am gonna play the that little clip from BTC Soul that I got saved on here, and then see where we're at. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, here it is.
Now quickly, looking at the lob. Zion's there.
Plays it ahead of him.
Now quickly, looking at the lob.
Word. Yeah, that's a solid solid play. BTC Soul.
100% easiest way to everything we were just talking about. A lot of people already own Sol. Easiest way to DCA and DCA. I mean,
Yeah, I mean you're not losing your position
no,
at
you're-
all.
you're
If anything,
holding
you're
your
gonna.
position, so gain a little something
Yeah.
out of it. I understand if some people would rather stake Sol, and marinate. I completely understand that because I might be that person sometimes too. Just depends on the move at the time, but.
Well, they have the ZBTC with the recipes on Marinade, so
Oh,
that's
of course.
coming.
I'm
You'll be
just
able to
saying,
do
I
that.
understand if someone wants
Yeah.
to stake Sol to earn Sol. Now, if you also want to stake
Oh,
Sol
I see what you're saying.
to
Well,
DCA into BTC, now you have that option.
technically, it is doing that, and then it just buys the
Yeah,
Bitcoin
yeah.
off the market. But no, I know what you're saying. There's both reasons to do that, and I think to make your bag grow itself is one way to do it, and then if you are underexposed to Bitcoin, it's the best way. Like if you're going to be holding it anyway, kind of makes sense to do it. You're not going to have as many low points to keep adding to it, and this just
I would
passively
say that
adds it to
everyone
it.
would say this time's different, but it's not. If you had DCA'd into Bitcoin at all these various different points, how much would you have? So, like, never a bad time to do
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I feel. So the one question I had though, like, could you keep adding to this position? Like, let's say you opened up like with one soul, start your BTC soul position. Can you keep adding to that? Or do you just have to create a
How
new
that
one?
would work. Let me see here.
Because that's like one thing I think would be beneficial for a lot of people is being able to consistently add to a stake position. I know that you have to wait or whatever. But if they had something set up where you could dollar cost average into your Solana bag, into a staked Solana bag, that would be ideal. I mean, I guess you can,
Yeah, I
right?
don't see why you can't.
For LST, because you're going to just be holding the liquid soul anyway.
Yeah, I mean, here, just 1 second here. I'm just pulling it up. I'll definitely double check on it for later, but I don't see any reason why. Yeah, it's just stake. Like you would just add to your total stake position then. So yeah,
Right,
I mean, there's not like an auto setup to DCA like yours. You know what I mean? To stake that way.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I just think that if there was like a way to do like every, like not automatically, but doing every Friday or something, like somebody that's getting into it looking for a long-term investment and like retirement types thing, it's like this might be a good option because you know you got a good chance to 10 to 20x.
It'd be like anything else you're staking into. It'll show your total that you've already had staked. You can go in every day if you want and go ahead and take that. And of course, you can take your rewards too.
Oh, and claim.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that what's it called? Marinade, they auto claim for you and like they'll reinvest that, or you can get it like sent out. There's some different options there. So that's cool. But now this was a good conversation. I like tapping in and kind of talk a little bit about the market and see what's going on. Been a crazy week, but a good way to wrap it up and see what's. I think we're gonna have an exciting week to come.
Let's hope so. Everybody wants it.
I think so. I think we will. Things are just shaping up pretty nicely and charts looking good. Everything. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a good weekend. Hopefully, there's no crazy geopolitical problems. But all right, man. Have a good rest of your week and weekend. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.
Good.